Hey folks, welcome in. Tonight we're sailing back to a time when the ocean was wide, the maps were nervous, and one pirate understood that looking terrifying could be better than actually fighting. Get comfortable, let the day loosen its grip, and drift with me into the slow, smoky legend of Blackbeard. If you can, dim the lights, find a good position, and let the room grow quiet. Nothing is required from you now except listening. Tonight, you are going to meet a man who understood marketing so well that 300 years later, we still whisper his stage name in the dark. Not because he shouted, because he smoldered. And somewhere between the candlelight, the salt wind, and a beard that occasionally appeared to be on fire, a regular human being quietly edited himself into a legend. So lie back, let the deck settle beneath your thoughts, and let's drift toward the most famous pirate who ever convinced the world to be afraid of him. For the next few hours, nothing is required from you. No sailing, no sword fighting, no historical homework. Just the slow company of waves, wood, and a man who discovered that if you look dramatic enough, people will often surrender before lunch. Now, if you can, dim the lights a little. Let the room soften. Settle into wherever you are. History will move slowly tonight. Good. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to our small, floating corner of the past, where the sea is calm, the cannons are mostly decorative, and everyone is just a little more tired than they planned to be. I hope you are comfortable. Our captain for the evening is famous, theatrical, and surprisingly practical, which is not always a combination history majors expect. If pirates had office departments, he would be head of intimidation, with a minor in smoke effects. But before the beard, before the fire, before sailors began surrendering simply because he had arrived to introduce himself very aggressively, before all of that, there was a man, possibly named Edward Teach, possibly Fatch. Spelling in the 18th century was more of a suggestion. Imagine paperwork drifting across a desk while someone shrugs in ink. Edward was probably born around 1880. We are already uncertain. This is a good start. Nothing builds bedtime confidence like historical fog. He may have come from Bristol, a busy port full of ships, trade, noise, ambition, and the comforting smell of other people's business. If you stood there at dawn, you would hear ropes, gulls, bargaining, boots on wood. You would also hear opportunity clearing its throat. England, at this moment, was very good at producing young men who looked at the ocean and thought, yes, that seems like a career with flexible hours. So Edward goes to sea, perhaps as a sailor, perhaps as a privateer, which is a pirate wearing paperwork. Governments loved privateers, very convenient. Steal from our enemies and we will call you a patriot. Steal from us, and we will hang you. Clear system, no confusion. During wars, men like Edward learned ships, guns, timing, and most importantly, how fragile merchant crews felt when confronted by loud surprises. And he learned something else. Fear could be more efficient than violence. Why ruin perfectly good cargo if people are willing to hand it to you while trembling? Why damage the furniture? Already you can sense the future manager of branding meetings.
But wars end. They always do. And when peace arrives, thousands of experienced sea fighters suddenly discover that the government has misplaced their enthusiasm. No salary, no applause, just the memory of being useful. This is how many pirates are born, not from madness, from unemployment. So men drift toward places like the Caribbean, where trade routes glow with possibility, and law enforcement is interpretive. Here, Edward meets another pirate who will change everything, Benjamin Hornhold, a man with enough reputation to attract followers and enough ambition to use them. Under Hornhold, Edward studies leadership, by which we mean he watches someone else take risks, very educational. He sees how ships are chosen, how intimidation works, how rumors travel faster than sails, and slowly he grows. Taller in confidence, heavier in presence, quieter, perhaps, in calculation. You can imagine evenings on deck, the crew eating, someone repairing cloth, another man pretending he understands knots, Edward listening, watching, learning the mood of power. Here's a small, gentle joke for the night. Every pirate wants treasure, but the successful ones also want administration, supplies, loyalty, timing. You cannot dramatically board a vessel if half your crew is arguing about biscuits. Edward notices. And when Hornhold eventually accepts a royal pardon, deciding that being forgiven sounds healthier than being hunted, Edward does something important. He continues. This is the moment a supporting character tries becoming the headline. He takes command, and the transformation begins. Now, we float into the image everyone remembers. The beard, thick, dark, impressive, already dramatic before accessories. Into this beard, Edward places slow-burning fuses before battle. They release smoke, not fireworks, just a steady, unpleasant suggestion that the man approaching you might be slightly supernatural. Picture the scene from the other ship. You are a merchant sailor. You wanted a normal Tuesday. Instead, emerging through gunpowder haze is a tall figure wrapped in drifting smoke, carrying enough weapons to qualify as a small army.
Argument. You reconsider your life, and very often you surrender, which is exactly what he prefers. Fewer injuries, more profit, minimum paperwork. Blackbeard, as he is increasingly known, becomes not merely a pirate, but an atmosphere. He cultivates silence, expectation. He lets stories grow. Some claim he ties ribbons in his beard. Others say he carries multiple pistols across his chest. Exaggeration joins the crew without needing wages. And he allows it, because reputation is cheaper than ammunition. Let's drift for a moment. Feel how clever this is. He is designing himself as a rumor, and rumors do the traveling for you. In time, he captures a powerful French slave ship and refits it as his flagship. He renames it Queen Anne's Revenge. Large, armed, imposing, the sort of vessel that says, "I have arrived, and I brought opinions." With this ship, he can blockade ports. He can wait at harbor mouths like a patient inconvenience. Trade halts. Governors panic. Merchants negotiate. He becomes impossible to ignore. Yet daily life remains slow. Always remember this. Between famous moments,
lie hours of absolutely nothing. Men mending sails, cleaning decks, trying to sleep while someone nearby snores like a collapsing empire. Blackbeard walks among them, commanding, yes, but also maintaining morale. Pirate crews were democratic in surprising ways. Captains who became too cruel sometimes discovered that accidents happened to them. Very unfortunate. So he balances terror outward with practicality inward. A professional. And the legend grows. Ships surrender at the sight of his flag. Tales multiply in taverns. Children hear about the devil with smoke in his beard. Meanwhile, Edward is still a man who must eat, plan, and occasionally worry about the future, because fame attracts attention, and attention invites consequences. But that is for
The ocean is still breathing, soft, patient. Nothing urgent has happened yet, which is wonderful because urgency is terrible for sleep. Blackbeard stands on his deck, wrapped in morning light and last night's reputation. Behind him, sailors move with buckets and rope, and the general attitude of men who woke up earlier than they wanted. In front of him, the Atlantic stretches wide and innocent, like it has never caused paperwork in its life. And somewhere far away, important people are beginning to notice him. This is the danger of success. At first, you want everyone to know your name. Then, unfortunately, they do. Governors hear it. Merchants complain about it. Letters cross desks, carrying the uncomfortable sentence, "Something should be done." History loves that sentence. It is responsible for most unpleasant mornings. But out here on the water, the mood is still almost cozy. Blackbeard knows he is famous. He also knows fame can be shaped. So he continues performing. Slow matches in the beard, extra pistols across the chest, a glare that suggests he has recently argued with thunder and won. From the outside, it looks wild. From the inside, it is business. Because when a ship surrenders quickly, everyone gets to go home earlier. Very thoughtful management. Picture a merchant captain spotting that flag on the horizon. There's a long pause. He squints. He sighs. He turns to his crew and says something like, "Well, gentlemen, I had other plans today." And up goes the white cloth. Not because they are cowards, because they are practical. Blackbeard understands practicality. He accepts surrender. He takes cargo. Sometimes he takes supplies. Then he leaves. No dramatic speeches, no villain monologue, just a polite rearranging of ownership. If piracy had customer reviews, many would read, "Terrifying entrance, surprisingly efficient." But power has weight, and carrying it all the time is tiring. More ships join him, more men, more responsibility. Arguments about shares, arguments about fairness, arguments about who stole whose socks. Leadership is rarely glamorous. Even legends must solve laundry disputes. At night, when the noise fades, Blackbeard walks the deck. He listens to wood settling. He watches lantern light move like slow thoughts. And maybe, just maybe, he wonders how long a man can remain larger than life before life asks him to be normal again. Because whispers are moving through the colonies.
The British Empire would prefer fewer dramatic pirates interrupting trade. Very inconvenient. Insurance companies hate him. Governors hate him. Accountants probably faint when they hear his name. So a new idea appears, the royal pardon. Imagine the king clearing his throat across an ocean.
If you stop being difficult, the offer says, we will forget your past. It is forgiveness with paperwork. Some pirates accept. A warm bed sounds nice. A future sounds healthier than a rope. Even Benjamin Hornigold, remember him, has already stepped away from piracy, traded danger for legitimacy. A respectable haircut, perhaps. Blackbeard watches this happen. He considers, what is a legend without freedom? What is a name like his if it must behave? Still, pressure grows. Naval patrols increase. Ports become less welcoming. Suddenly, the world feels smaller. Fame has folded the map. Let's float gently into one of his cleverest moments. Instead of fighting everyone forever, he tries diplomacy. Yes, our smoky sea demon sits down to talk. In 1718, he sails into North Carolina. The governor there, Charles Eden, is open to discussion. Translation: people can be flexible when money politely clears its throat nearby. Blackbeard accepts a pardon. On paper, he is now an honest man. You can almost hear the paperwork exhale. For a short while, he behaves, more or less. Ships are repaired. Crews shrink. Life pretends to become quiet. But here is the small, sleepy joke. When your entire career is being terrifying, retirement can feel awkward. What do you do on a peaceful afternoon? Knitting? Light gardening? Blackbeard is not built for small hobbies. And people do not easily forget. Merchants still worry. Rumors still travel. Some say he continues taking ships in secret. Some say officials look the other way. History becomes foggy again, which is very on brand. But other colonies are less relaxed about this arrangement, especially Virginia. Its governor, Alexander Spotswood, is not in a forgiving mood. He hears that Blackbeard may be nearby. He hears trade is nervous. He hears opportunity knocking. And he decides to become the man who solves the pirate problem. Somewhere, far away, the future is putting on boots. Back near the coast, Blackbeard returns to sea. Not in grand fleets now. Smaller operations, quieter movements. He visits inlets, anchors in shallow water, lives in a space between outlaw and citizen, a very uncomfortable place. His crew notices the tension. They joke less. They watch horizons longer. Even legends can feel weather changing. At night, the wind carries stories. Hunters are coming. Ships have been sent. Names have been written down. Rewards have been promised. If you capture the great Blackbeard, you will be remembered, which is very tempting. Everyone wants a piece of immortality, even if it comes with splinters. Still, daily life continues. Meals are cooked. Boots are dried. Someone complains about the quality of rum. which is a tradition older than most governments.
Blackbeard remains calm. What else can he do? Panic is terrible leadership. He walks, he plans, he trusts the shallow waters he knows well. Large navy ships cannot easily follow there. It is like hiding in the world's most complicated puddle. Comforting, but not perfect, because among the hunters is a young naval officer named Robert Maynard, ambitious, serious, very awake, and extremely interested in becoming famous. He is given a mission: find the pirate, end the story, bring back proof, preferably attached. We will meet him soon. For now, he is still sailing toward destiny, practicing his determined face. Blackbeard does not yet see him, but the distance between them is shrinking. History is very good at that. And so our smoky captain spends another evening under the stars. The sea is gentle. The crew is tired. Lanterns sway. He might feel untouchable. He might feel doomed. He might feel both at the same time, which is usually how the final chapter begins. Let's leave him here tonight, balanced between pardon and pursuit, between myth and man, rocking softly on water that has not yet decided what it will remember. When you are ready, we will drift closer to the meeting that will turn a human being into a permanent ghost. Sleep well. The boats are still far away.
The night is generous. It gives everyone a little extra time to pretend tomorrow is undecided. Blackbeard's ships rest in the dark water near Ocracoke. Lanterns swing, timbers whisper. Somewhere below deck, a man turns in his sleep and dreams of land that does not move. Above him, history is rowing closer. Not loudly, not dramatically, just with the quiet determination of people who filled out the correct forms. Far away, Lieutenant Robert Maynard is awake, very awake, the kind of awake that makes coffee nervous. He has orders from Virginia: find the pirate, finish it, bring back proof. Simple words, heavy future. He sails with 2 small sloops, smaller than the legend he hunts, but sometimes history likes irony more than size. Let's float back to Blackbeard. Morning is still thinking about arriving. The air is gray, wet, soft. You can almost hear the ocean breathing in. A crew member yawns. Another checks a rope that absolutely did not need checking. Someone scratches his beard and wonders if this will be an ordinary day. Blackbeard stands near the rail, calm, large, present. He has survived many problems already: storms, battles, politics, hangovers. It is reasonable to think he might survive one more. And besides, the inlet is shallow. Big Navy ships will struggle. He trusts geography, a comforting roommate. But small boats can travel where big ones complain, and Maynard's sloops are small. They slide across the water like polite intentions. When they are finally seen, the moment is strangely quiet. No music, no dramatic zoom, just sailors noticing shapes where shapes should not be. There is a pause, the human mind checking itself. Are those visitors? Are those enemies? Are those the consequences we ordered last month? Blackbeard understands quickly. He has lived too long with attention not to recognize it arriving. He gives orders, cannons ready, men moving, some with focus, some with the energy of people who would prefer a different career right now. And yet still there is patience, because battle, like paperwork, takes time. The boats approach. Maynard prepares his men. He knows the legend, the beard, the smoke, the reputation that walks ahead of the man like an unpaid advertisement. He also knows something else. If he wins, his own name grows. History is a ladder. Someone must become the rung. The first shots are fired, loud, rude, very inconsiderate of our relaxing atmosphere. Cannons speak, water erupts, wood breaks in ways wood never enjoys. Blackbeard's ship runs aground, too heavy, too slow in the shallows, an unpleasant surprise. You can feel the balance tilt. But he does not panic. He has one more idea. If you cannot maneuver, intimidate. So he prepares to board. Close fighting, personal.
The kind where reputation can still matter. Maynard, clever in a different way, hides many of his men below deck. He makes his ship look nearly empty, inviting, like a trap that put on a friendly hat. Blackbeard sees opportunity. He believes the enemy is weak. He gathers his fighters, and with smoke and noise and a voice that has practiced authority for years, he boards. For a moment, it works. The deck is sparse. Victory feels near. Then Maynard gives the signal, and suddenly the ship produces soldiers the way a cake produces regret. They come from below, armed, focused, unromantic. What follows is messy, short, close, confusing. This is not a ballet. It is men slipping on wood, shouting, pushing, surviving. Blackbeard fights hard. Reports later say he is shot several times, cut many more. He continues, because what else would the legend do? But the body is not made of myth. It is made of ending. And eventually, surrounded, exhausted, heavy with wounds, Blackbeard falls. Not dramatically, not poetically, just the way humans do. Down. The noise fades. Breathing returns. Someone checks the quiet as if it might restart. It does not. Maynard looks at the man who frightened oceans. He sees a body, large, still, strangely ordinary now. History is already editing. To prove the victory, they take the head. Practical, unpleasant, very 18th century. They hang it from the bowsprit, a message to others. Piracy has a conclusion. The ships begin the journey back. Behind them, the water closes. Waves are excellent at forgetting, but people are not. Stories ignite immediately. Sailors swear he fought like 10 men. They count wounds, 5 bullets, 20 cuts.
Maybe more. Numbers grow in retelling. Because death is never enough, we must decorate it. Back in towns, taverns fill with the news. Blackbeard is gone. Or so they say. Some nod with relief. Some feel disappointed. Legends are entertaining neighbors. Without them, evenings become regular. But notice something gentle. Even in defeat, he wins the larger game. We are still speaking his name. Maynard becomes famous, yes, but Blackbeard becomes permanent. Smoke without fire, fear without body, a character too large to remain buried. And somewhere in imagination, he keeps sailing. Let's slow down. Feel the rocking return. The fight has passed. The sea is wide again. Ordinary men clean decks, bandage wounds, think about home. History moves on because it must, but memory lingers because it wants to. Soon we will see what becomes of the world after the pirate, how governments tidy the narrative, how myth becomes entertainment, how a man becomes a costume. We are not finished, not yet. There are still echoes to visit. For now, rest. The worst has already happened, and tomorrow will begin the long career of remembering.
The battle is over. The shouting has packed its bags. What remains is the soft, almost awkward quiet that follows when history finishes doing something dramatic and then looks around as if to say, well, now what? Maynard's ships cut through the water toward Virginia. At the front hangs proof, uncomfortable, heavy, swaying with each wave like punctuation nobody asked for. Sailors try not to stare too long. It is difficult to feel heroic for many hours in a row. Eventually, hunger returns, fatigue returns. Someone asks if anyone remembered to save the good biscuits. Life insists on itself. Meanwhile, far away from the decks and salt and official reports, something else has already begun. Blackbeard is growing. Not physically, that part is very much finished, but in memory, in rumor, in imagination. And imagination has excellent lungs. In taverns, men lean closer to candles. They lower voices. They describe smoke pouring from his beard like a chimney with opinions. They say he laughed at bullets. They say he refused to fall until the world personally requested it. Was any of this exact? Maybe, maybe not. But accuracy has never been the main employee in storytelling. Feeling is, and the feeling people want is simple. They want him to have been impossible. Because if he was impossible, then surviving him, defeating him, or even merely hearing about him becomes grand. History, after all, is partly theater. Maynard presents the head. Authorities nod. Rewards are arranged. Paperwork blooms like very serious flowers. Some celebrate. Trade may become calmer. Merchants breathe easier. Insurance companies sit down for the first time in months. But the sea does not change. It keeps moving, indifferent, unimpressed. Some pirates accept pardons. Some disappear. Some try honest lives and discover honesty wakes up early and pays terribly. Others return to crime because habits, like tides, are persistent. Yet none of them are Blackbeard. He has crossed the invisible line from man to symbol, and symbols never have to sleep. Writers begin collecting stories. Printers see opportunity. Readers love danger from a safe chair. Soon pamphlets circulate. Books follow. Descriptions become richer. darker, more theatrical. You can almost see Edward Teach somewhere in the afterlife, watching his reputation receive upgrades he never requested. "Did I really do that?" he might ask. "Yes," replies the future. "Congratulations." Children grow up hearing his name. They imagine glowing eyes, endless weapons, a temper like weather. The truth, which involves long days of waiting and administrative headaches, politely excuses itself.
No one invites it to the party. And so, year after year, Blackbeard becomes easier to recognize and harder to understand. He turns into shorthand. Say, pirate, and people picture him, even if they do not know why. Let's drift gently to another place, a quiet harbor, decades later. A grandfather telling a boy about the time the Great Terror ruled the coast. Notice how the old man edits. He makes himself braver, the pirate larger, the danger closer. Memory is a friendly liar. The boy listens wide-eyed. The story enters him. And just like that, Blackbeard sails again, across generations, no wind required. Back in museums and libraries, historians try to tidy things. They search for records, dates, names. They argue about spellings, teach, thatch, which is correct. The answer, probably, is yes. But scholars are patient people. They attempt to locate the human being inside the costume. They discover fragments, a marriage perhaps, alliances, moments of negotiation, evidence that the terror of the Atlantic sometimes preferred talking to fighting. Complexity returns, soft, reasonable, yet even they know the myth will always be louder. And maybe that is fine, because myths carry emotion. They travel well at night. Now here's a gentle observation. Blackbeard worked very hard to create fear. He staged himself, managed image, encouraged rumor. If he could see what happened after, he might feel satisfied. He wanted to be unforgettable. Mission extremely accomplished. But there's a small cost. When a person becomes a legend, the person disappears. We lose his ordinary hours, the boredom, the worry, the moments he stared at the horizon and wondered what he was doing with his life. Those drift away. What remains is the mask, which is excellent for festivals, less good for understanding. Still, we keep him. We pass him forward. Painters paint him. Actors perform him. Writers rewrite him. Every age builds its own Blackbeard. Some make him crueler. Some make him charming. Some give him speeches he never had. Through it all, he remains strangely alive. Immortality, it turns out, is very busy. And yet, on certain nights, when the sea is quiet, when wind slides across water like a careful hand, you can imagine the real man walking a deck again, not breathing fire, not shouting, just existing, tired, alert, human. It is a softer image, but perhaps closer to truth. Let's float toward the end of our evening. The empire that hunted him is gone. The governments have changed. The trade routes have new owners.
But say his name, and people still lean closer. That is power of a different kind. And maybe the deepest irony of all, a man who lived by stealing cargo ended by delivering memory. We are the receivers, very gentle, very late. Soon we will close our eyes and let him drift back into the dark, where he does some of his best work, but not yet. There is one more current to follow, one more small transformation, because legends do not stop growing. They simply change jobs, and in the final stretch, Blackbeard will become something unexpected. Comfort.
By now, the water has forgotten the sound of gunfire. It remembers tides. It remembers moonlight. It remembers the slow push and pull that existed long before cannons ever tried to interrupt it. This is where legends go when the shouting stops. They become gentle. They become background. They become the kind of company you keep when the lights are low and the day has finally agreed to leave you alone. Blackbeard, who once arranged smoke in his beard so strangers would panic, has reached a new phase of his career. He is now atmospheric, no longer a threat, more like furniture. Historic furniture, yes, possibly armed, but still. If you walk along the Carolina coast at dusk, guides will tell you he is still here. They will point to dark water and say he wanders, sometimes headless, sometimes whole, occasionally glowing in ways biology never approved. Tourists nod. Children widen their eyes. Someone buys a snack. The ghost works part-time. And notice how different this is from the man. The real Edward Teach had to worry about food, loyalty, weather, politics, splinters, disease, and whether someone had misplaced the rum again. The ghost has excellent benefits. He drifts. He appears when required. He never has meetings. It is a promotion in a strange way, but it is also softer. The terror has cooled. The sharp edges of fear have been wrapped in storytelling. Now, when people meet him, they do not surrender ships. They take photographs. Time has performed the great magic trick. It has turned danger into charm. Let's sit with that for a moment, because it happens to many historical figures. At the time, they are alarming. In memory, they become interesting. Eventually, they become comforting. Distance is very kind. In books, Blackbeard becomes larger, but also safer. Writers describe the smoke, the weapons, the glare, but they do it from warm rooms, under steady roofs, with tea nearby. Risk has become entertainment, which is convenient for everyone. Somewhere, a child hears about him before sleep. The pirate becomes part of night, like stars or creaking wood. Familiar, expected, almost.
And so he sails through centuries, from eyewitness reports to printed pamphlets to novels to films to Halloween costumes assembled at the last minute, each version louder than the last. Yet underneath, always, the outline remains. A tall man, a dark beard, smoke curling upward like punctuation. You can recognize him instantly. Branding, as he would probably appreciate, has endured.
But let's do something kind before we end. Let's return, just for a breath, to the human, not the ghost, not the poster, the man. He is on deck again, long before the last battle, long before Maynard. The night is wide, the crew is asleep, there is no audience, no one to impress. He leans on the rail, feels wind on his face. Maybe he is tired. Maybe he wonders how long this life can continue. Maybe he feels proud, maybe afraid, probably both. In this moment, he is not legend. He is simply a person standing in darkness, listening to water. And there is something very peaceful about that. History rarely leaves room for quiet humanity, but we can. Tonight we can. The man inhales, exhales. The future waits politely. It will arrive when it must. For now, there is only the slow rhythm of waves touching wood. Nothing heroic, nothing dramatic, just existence. It is the most honest part of the story. Now we let him go, gently, back into the larger shape of myth. He has earned his rest, and you, who traveled all this distance without firing a single cannon, have earned yours too. The sea is calm, the ghost is friendly, the smoke has thinned into memory. Somewhere in the dark, a famous pirate continues doing what he has done best for 3 centuries, keeping us company. Good night.